What is up, everyone? And I am horribly sorry for being gone for like ages, but this is going to be my first video back and also my labor and delivery of Carolina since I done with Montana. So, I had a doctor's appointment on October 27th and I was exactly 38 weeks that day. And I had been getting non-stress tests because I had had gestational diabetes, and for some reason I just felt like I should have been checked. And he's like, well, you're 3.5 centimeters, and I'm like, okay. I had a feeling, sort of, I woke up and I'm like, I feel like I'm going to go into labor soon. Didn't think it would be when I did, but it was. And after I left, I kept having contractions, and throughout the day they started getting stronger, but I wasn't really paying much attention to them because I had had them pretty much the exact same for like a week. So I didn't think much of it. And around 10:30, 11 at night, I felt like I peed. I know TMI for anyone who didn't want to hear that, but that's what it felt like. And it wasn't much, and I told MJ, and he's like, well, what do you think it was? And I'm like, maybe my water broke, I'm not sure. So I kept saying, I'll wait and see if the contractions get stronger. Well, it was about midnight when I did it again, and I'm like, okay, the contractions are getting stronger. And I laid there, and eventually I said, MJ, I'm bleeding. And he started freaking out, of course, and he's like, what? What? And I said, we gotta go to the hospital. Grab my bags, let's go. And that was around 1:15. So we get to the hospital and they're like, well, what's going on? And I'm like, I think my water broke and I'm starting to bleed. Okay. I get to the hospital and they check me. I'm still 3.5. They hook me up to the monitor. They do the test to see if my water did break. And that came back around 3 o'clock in the morning. And they're like, well, your water broke and you're getting admitted. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm not ready for this. And I was nervous, and I'm like, I don't know. It was just weird because with Montana I was induced, and with her she was ready. I couldn't walk, it hurt to walk. And she was just ready. But I asked to walk, and before I could even, I asked to walk around 5 something. My contractions weren't all that bad. I was 5 centimeters dilated. Yeah, I was at a 5, and I wanted to walk to hopefully speed things up. Well, I didn't even get to. I paced around in the room a little bit, and more of my water started breaking. Then I asked at like 5:45 for an epidural because I couldn't handle the contractions anymore. It was starting to do what Montana done, and it was starting to make me sick. I didn't throw up this time, but I started to get sick. And after that, I got the epidural, I went to sleep, and around, 6 something in the morning, my contractions were horrible. I could really feel them, and she was putting a lot of pressure down. And I was a 7 then. And then also, Richie, which was my doctor, is still, but, at the time, is my doctor, and he started the Pitocin to speed up the contractions, so I dilate faster. And after all that, I laid there. Of course you lay there. But I laid there, and around 7, I told MJ, I was like, MJ, I feel like I have to use the bathroom. Because she was really pushing down. But, then they said, well, only half of your cervix is thinned out. So they had me turn on my side, and oh my god, it felt so weird. She pressed down, like, coming down, she pressed down and thinned out the rest of my cervix. I went from an 8 to a 10 in, like, maybe a minute and a half. Maybe a little longer, I don't know. But then that was at like 7:20, and she was ready. Richie had already stayed in the room and waiting because he knew it was going to be soon. And I had to push more with her, but it was still really easy. I felt a lot more pressure this time. I think it's because the epidural didn't fully take on my left side. Like, my right side was numb, but my left side, I felt a lot. A lot more. And with Montana, I didn't feel as much. But I pushed, I think, 6 to 8 times with her. Yeah, I pushed 6 to 8 times with her.